All right, you guys. Welcome to our Thursday morning virtual coffee mastermind. So excited to have everyone here. For those of you who don't know me and it's your first time on the call, my name is Debbie Morrow. I founded the Real Estate Agent Referral Network and Marketing Tips Facebook group about 4 years ago. And we have 335,000 members there. Isn't that cool? What's even better is I watch you guys passing referrals in there every single day, which I absolutely love. If you have not signed up for our referral platform, make sure you do so. I will, once I turn the call over to our speakers, I'll drop the link in the chat so everybody can do that. But this morning, every morning we have a kind of a different topic or a different thing that we chat about to kind of help you in your real estate business. This morning we have Ryan and Emma on the call who founded Sales Genius, and they offered to come on and talk to you about the perfect sales call. I don't know. What's perfect, you guys? You want to unmute yourself, introduce yourselves, and
Yeah.
talk to us about what the perfect sales call really is.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the perfect call formula. We try to break down what the perfect call looks like to make it super simple for you guys. So just quick introduce myself. I'm Ryan Wykes. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I've been in real estate for 12 years now. I was a founding partner of a small independent brokerage that we grew from 5 agents to 250 agents. We were a pure online lead generation platform. So everything I did was obsessing over helping agents convert conversations into actual commissions. Emma's background, I'll let her introduce herself, is very similar, but we've built out a formula that no matter where your lead source is, where the lead's coming from, whether it's an online lead, whether it's someone you met at an open house, whether it's somebody's contact information you got door knocking, or from a mailer or a flyer, or whether it's even a referral. At some point in time, you're going to have to get somebody on the phone. And the biggest mistake we see agents making is immediately taking people out for showings. And so today's training is to do with how to get people where you want them so that you are in control to become an authority and build trust and rapport with people really quickly. And I'll allow Emma to introduce herself as well.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Thank you, Debbie, for having us. And it's nice to meet everybody and be here for the first time. My name's Emma, Emma Pace, and I'm also from the Toronto area. Much like Ryan, I've been a realtor for 10 years, and we've recently transitioned, realtor and team leader, we've recently transitioned into more of a coaching model. So we are coaches now, but we do come from a real estate background of predominantly, like Ryan said, converting online leads. Both Ryan and I started in the nightlife industry before we hopped over into real estate. So I was a DJ and he worked behind the bar. None of our friends had any money to buy houses. So we had to figure out another way of connecting with people who actually had money. And both Ryan and I had some experience on the phones. And so our entire businesses have been built through cold online leads. So we're coming from a place of, I wouldn't call us gurus or anything. We just have 10 years under our belt of actually getting results with having conversations with people on the phone, getting them to appointments, and turning them into clients. And I hope that that's something that we can share with you guys today. I hope that everybody leaves here with something very tactical that they can take to ensure that their conversion ratio goes through the roof after today's call. Is that cool? Good? All right. Let's hop into it. We are going to dive into what is typically an hour presentation in 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to talk to you guys about it. So we're going to go real fast today, but we're going to make sure that you guys get some awesome tactical advice by the time we leave here. Okay. So our presentation is a perfect call formula. This is the exact formula that you guys need to book qualified appointments on the phone, no matter what the lead source is. Okay. So there's 3 big problems that we see agents have or make mistakes. Okay. So Oftentimes we waste time on the phone with people who are unqualified. We get them on the phone and we're like, oh, this person's super nice. There's no chance that they're buying or selling a house. I'm just going to spend the next 45 minutes with them, right? So we need to make sure that we have a good structure of the call to avoid wasting our time, because we're really good as real estate agents of like being volunteers. And we don't value our time very often. And what we want to do is make sure that you guys leave today knowing that you really should value your time. Your time is just as valuable as everybody else's, and there's no point of spending time on the phone with people who are unqualified. The second thing is, when we give too much information away on the phone, if you don't have the relationship with the prospect and another agent does, because we know that many buyers and sellers are also on other agents' lists, and you give them a ton of good information, but you don't have the relationship, you are just helping other real estate agents book appointments by giving a ton of information. They call the person they have the relationship with, and you're making their jobs easier. And then the third thing is, we spend so much time generating leads, money, time, everything, generating the leads, but we oftentimes don't get a great return on the time and money that we've invested to generate the leads. And so when we don't know what we're doing on the conversion side of things, the return on our time and our money is like very low for most agents. Okay. So today we want to show you how to find qualified prospects, how to have prospects on the phone that want to book appointments with you, where you don't feel like you're begging them to show up for an appointment for you. They want to show up. And the third thing is like, how are we going to get a return on our lead gen efforts?
Yeah, so what should you be able to implement right away? So right after this call, you should know when to transition from one point in the call to another quickly, okay? You should also understand the most important numbers to track so that you can be sure that you're setting appointments, and not only setting appointments, but setting the right appointments with the right people. And we want you to walk away to be conscious of the perfect call formula. We don't want you to try to implement everything that you learned today. We want you to pick one thing that you're going to implement and master right away. But we want you to be conscious of, did you take the steps to give yourself the best opportunity to book an appointment if the lead was qualified? So what are you going to be able to implement over time if you keep at it? If you keep working at this, no matter the lead source, where the lead's coming in from, you are going to be able to structure your calls and question asking in a way that will have leads asking you for appointments. Not only will they be asking you for appointments, they will be wanting to show up for the appointments, because you're going to build so much value leveraging our platinum value proposition framework to get them to show up. Okay. And then we're going to feel confident in delivering value on appointments. The appointments are now going to be about the prospect, which is why they will want to show up. And the appointments won't be about us having a new client and making commission. So we're going to get rid of that commission breath, because it's not about us. It is about the potential lead or client and the value of the appointment to them.
Just out of curiosity, if someone can just drop me a 1 in the chat, are you guys making calls right now? I hope I see a couple ones. I know, like, we're real estate agents. We don't oftentimes like picking up the phones, but just out of curiosity, so I can get a temperature check for the room, how many of you guys are making calls on a daily basis? And Debbie, if you could just monitor the chat for me. I don't know why my
Yeah, I'm
thing
seeing
is
a bunch of ones here.
ones. Okay, so we're good on that. All right, I just want to make sure that we're double clicking on the right things for you guys today. So I know we talked a little bit about ourselves, so we'll kind of skim over this, but why should you even listen to us in the first place? Okay. So we definitely were not born sales coaches. It would be really weird. You'd have to talk to both of our moms if we were just born sales coaches and real estate agents. That definitely was not the case. But when we got into this industry, we both were spending so much time on the phones, and like I said, getting a very low return on our lead gen efforts, that we both had the same dream. And that was like, how do I make more money and buy my time back so that I can spend time doing the things that we love? And early in my career, that was like DJing and spending more time producing music. And fortunately, that has transitioned into business is the thing I love. Coaching and training and working with agents is the thing that I love. And so now we were able to buy our time back to actually focus and do that with our time, which is fantastic. And so what that has looked like is we basically built a system that took the average, we say 8 hours here, but really, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's probably like 12 to 16 hours a day because we were just banging the phones, into basically 2 hours of serious productivity. And when we did this, and the perfect call formula is a part of that system, when we did this, that's what took us to get the results. Okay. So like we weren't just natural salespeople. Okay. We had to have a system, we had to have a formula that we followed to get us there. But when we figured it out, that helped me become the top agent in my brokerage at 27. I've done over 7 figures myself as a solo agent, 2 million as a team leader. And now, we speak on stages across North America to teach, honestly, just what has worked for us. Like the stuff that we teach you is the stuff that we've done.
Yeah. And myself, when I started, I was making hundreds of calls a day, working, as Emma said, 10, 12, 14 hours. And in my first year, worked so hard just to do 15 transactions. I quickly grew to over 50 transactions when I started implementing some of this stuff. I also did over $1 million in commissions as a solo agent in a single year by my 5th year in real estate. I then became the SVP of sales and a partner at a 250 person brokerage and helped drive that team to over $1 billion in sales volume.
Yeah.
So just teaching this kind of stuff to those agents to get them to produce at a higher level. And all of it started with us converting hundreds of online leads, which honestly are people that don't know you, don't trust you, you have no authority, and they honestly don't want to hear from you. For those of you, I saw some of you in the chat that said you're nervous about making calls. Don't be nervous about making calls. As long as you're there to help them and provide value to them, you are there to make their life better. There's going to be people that tell you to screw off or F off. That's okay. Find the people that appreciate you and want the value that you can bring to the table.
Absolutely. And Trina, I just saw your note there that you had done it for a year and didn't convert one lead. So I'm hoping what we teach you today will give you a better structure to make sure that you get better results and a better return on your time. Okay. It seems like converting online leads seems like this mythical thing in real estate. It's not. We just need a better structure and framework to make sure that we're calling the right people and we're having the right conversations. Okay. So we've converted a lot of them, but I'll be honest with you guys, we're not perfect. We've probably made a lot more mistakes than you guys have. We've just been willing to make the mistakes. So there's 3 mistakes that you guys might be making on the phone right now. And I think it's important that we bring that to the surface so that you guys can understand if you're making any of these mistakes first. And then we'll do a little bit of course correction to show you how to fix it. So the first one is when you go to make calls, not actually setting any intentions for your call sessions. And so what does that look like? Like, what's my actual desired outcome? And we're going to get into like what the actual outcome of the call should be in a second. But like, what's my desired outcome today? How many calls do I want to make? How many contacts am I going to make? How many actual conversations am I going to have? How many appointments am I actually going to ask for? And how many appointments am I going to book? Okay. You're like, that sounds great, Emma, but like, that's a lot of shit to track. I'm like, cool. So let's just focus on the one that you guys are probably not tracking. And we did not track this one for a long time. So if I could just narrow it down to one thing, that if you just focused on this one thing and you improve no other skill sets, you would get more appointments. How many people are you actually asking for an appointment? Track that. I had 20 conversations today. I didn't make one offer to that person. I didn't ask one person for an appointment. Well, if we're not asking for the business, you don't get what you don't ask for. So right now, a lot of people will track, I made this many dials, I made this many contacts, but they're not tracking how many times they actually asked for an appointment. So for us, like we have these little dry erase trackers that sit on our desk. I'll just show you kind of what that looks like here. But it allows us to track throughout the course of the week what our progress is looking like. And that includes how many people did I talk to today and how many of those people did I ask for an appointment? Okay. And if you just focus on that one number, you'll book more appointments.
Number 2 is not knowing the milestones in the call that you're trying to hit, right? And so really what we are looking for on a call is it for be very quick. We have our intro that gets us into conversation. We have our body of the call where we find out the leads or the prospects or the persons we're talking to, motivation, ability, and willingness. And then we transition into our close. And the problem is for a lot of us on the phone, we get so excited that somebody's willing to talk to us. We share everything we know about real estate on that first call. But the big problem is the perfect call is actually going to last only about 5 to 7 minutes. And if you're having 30-minute phone calls with people, why would they even show up to an appointment? They're going to feel like you've already given them all of your best information. And as Emma said earlier, they're then going to go and take that information and work with their Uncle Tom or their sister-in-law, whoever it may be, even though you're the expert in the market. So they're like, thanks for all this great info. That was helpful, but now I don't need you. And even if you booked an appointment, they're going to think about it and be like, why would they even come, right? Like, there's no reason for them to show up. So 5 to 7 minutes is the ideal length to work through the intro to get them into, which is going to get them into the conversation. That's the goal. Then move into the body to find out their pains, worries, fears, needs, wants, desires, what's motivating them to move, right? And once you have that, we'll talk about it later, you can leverage our platinum value proposition formula, which makes the appointment super attractive to them. And so the lead to appointment journey should just be, you've got a lead, you have a 5 to 7 minute discovery call, which moves them into a strategy session. Start calling them strategy sessions. Some of them call them listing appointments, buyer consultations, buyer meetings, whatever it is. Only 4 to 7% of people at any given time consider themselves a buyer or a seller. If you're trying to sell someone a buyer consultation or a listing appointment, they're not going to want it. They're going to say, it's not for me. I'm 3 years out, or I'm 2 years out. It's not for me. If you start calling it a strategy session, you do this one thing, whether I'm buying in 30 days or I'm buying in 3 years, if I truly want to buy, I need a great strategy to buy. So if you start selling your appointments as an appointment that is a strategy session to put a strategy in place that will help them get the results that they want at the time that is right for them, and that you've done it for other people like them, it makes it much more attractive.
Yeah. So what we want to really hammer home with you guys today is that all roads should lead to the strategy session. Oftentimes we go phone call, 45, we go lead comes in, 45-minute phone call, then we try and meet them at the house. From a roadmap perspective, it should be a lead comes in, we use a 5 to 7 minute discovery call as a hook to get them to want to come to the appointment. The phone call is not the appointment. It's a hook to get them to come to the appointment. Okay. So if right now you're making any of these mistakes, it's all good because we're going to fix it. We're going to show you how to do that right now. So we have the perfect call pyramid, okay? And I want to show you what this looks like. You guys can screenshot this if you want. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of what this looks like, and we're going to go through as much of this as quickly as we can to get you guys to the appointment, okay? So the first thing we're going to start with is what we call the Trojan horse intro. And by the way, I just want you guys to know something. We've given you some tactical things that you can improve on right away without having to improve your skills, okay? It's just like, if you just ask for more appointments, you don't even need to be better on the phone. You just ask for them, you'll get more appointments, okay?
Start calling them strategy sessions, you'll get more appointments.
Exactly. Strategy sessions, you'll get more appointments. Those don't take any additional skills on your side. They're just small tweaks, okay? Now, when we look at this pyramid, I just want you guys to know that if you're not getting into conversations, Trina, I think that you said you were making a bunch of calls and you hadn't converted them. What I would implore you to do is look at this pyramid and understand where you are getting stuck. And for many of you guys, it's at the intro. So if you're like, I want to get better on the phones, I should start with objection handling. If you can't get into the conversation and you can't fix this first, there is nothing else that you need to focus on today other than fixing your intro. So we're going to spend some time on the intro today. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the Trojan horse introduction, how to get somebody to actually want to talk to you on the phone and get into the conversation. Once we pass the intro, they pick up the phone and they're like, yeah, I'm down to have a conversation. We go through desire and pain discovery. And once we figure out and we collect all the ammo that we need to close, we transition into what we call the PVP framework. And that is a fill in the blanks framework that we'll give you guys to get them to want to come to the appointment. If we need to objection handle, that's when we would do that. We come back here to inverse question asking. We do a 2-step ask for the appointment again, and then we book the appointment. Okay. So like I said, we want you to focus on the Trojan horse intro. This is the most important thing. If you're not having good conversations, you have to fix this first.
Yeah. So with the Trojan horse intro, everyone, raise your hand for me, a drop of 1 in the chat if you've been trained as a salesperson in this way. Okay. So you can go to the next slide, Emma.
Oh,
So,
my bad. There we go.
right. So first off, why is this the first step? As I'm already said, I'm not going to spend time in this. If you can't get into conversation and you don't know how to get into conversation, you can't book appointments. So having an amazing introduction that gets you in the front door is what's going to get you into conversation, because let's be honest, people are smarter. The consumer is smarter than they have ever been. They're getting inundated with spam phone calls, emails, so on and so forth. If you sound like every other salesperson, what happens as soon as they pick up the phone? Their sales resistance goes up. They put up a wall. They don't want to talk to you. They say, oh my gosh, it's another salesperson. And they start coming up with objections and reasons to get off the phone. That's right. The wall goes right up. So no one likes being sold to. We know that. Even when you think about the last time you had something you wanted to purchase and you knew you wanted to purchase that thing and you went to the store to buy it. You walked in and a salesperson said, hey, can I help you? You said, no, I'm okay. I'm just looking. Who said that? Who's done that? Drop a 1 in the chat if that was your experience the last time you knew you wanted to buy something. It's because we hate being sold to, right? So who here has done sales training before and been taught when they're on the phone, be energetic, be friendly, be enthusiastic, pretend that they can see you, smile when you're talking on the phone? Guess what? You sound like every other salesperson. And these are all red flags to an intelligent consumer. And that wall goes way up, right? I agree with Raymond. We need to solve, but not sell. But first, we've got to lower their sales resistance so we can get into conversation and solve. So this is how we do this. This is the easiest way. We need to find a way to sneak by the gate, just like that Trojan horse that got in. So how do we do this? The easiest way, I'm going to say this to you guys, and I say that people always ask me, Ryan, how do I become a better salesperson? I say, think of what you've been taught as a salesperson in the past, or every time you've been sold to what a salesperson does, and do the exact opposite. Do the exact opposite. So in the introduction, you lower your energy, right? You slow your cadence, you slow your pace, you almost sound confused. The easiest way to think about this, how I explain this to people, is when a lead answers the phone, I try to sound like I'm lost somewhere. That's probably a little bit dangerous. I'm not that excited. I'm a little bit nervous about being lost where I'm lost and I need some help, right? So instead of sounding like, hi, is this Emma? Oh, hey, Emma, this is Ryan calling from Sales Genius. I was just, now you're,
Immediately, as soon as I hear, hey, is this Emma? Like, it's just my natural reaction in the back of my mind is like, guess what I'm going to say? I haven't even heard what he has to say. I'm busy. Sorry, I
busy.
don't have time for this. Right? So show them how it sounds, Ryan, and then we're going to show them how to get past the door with the objection.
Yeah. So instead, you want it to sound something more like this. Is this Emma? Oh, hey, Emma, this is just Ryan calling from Sales Genius. You had clicked on my guide for condos for first-time buyers. And I was curious, did you get that in your inbox? All right. So you sound like a beginner. It lowers sales resistance because number one, they think this probably isn't a salesperson. Number two, once they realize you're a salesperson, they're like, is this person's first day? They're not a very good salesperson. I'm no longer worried about them selling me anything. And all of a sudden, they're like, they feel bad for you almost, and they want to help you. That's why I think about it as like, I'm lost and I need help, right? They now want to help you and sales resistance is low instead of the wall being up and you're trying to beat down the front door. They've just let you right in. So master the intro and prospects will lower their guard, allowing you to walk in the front door. However, a few of you are still going to say, I get a ton of objections.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's totally natural that we're gonna get objections because even if we seem like non-threatening salespeople, it's still you're still gonna get the I'm busy, I don't have time for it, etc. Right? We all know that, we all get it. It's totally normal. It's a consumer's natural reaction to say those things. So what we need to do is we need to remove the objection first. The best way to get around objections is to take it away from the prospect so they can't use it. Okay. So one of the things that we do in the intro is always acknowledge their time. Like, hey, Ryan? Immediately he's like, yeah, like I'm curious to know. It doesn't sound like a salesperson thing. I know you're probably really busy right now. He can't say I'm busy because I just told him he's busy. So it's really awkward for somebody to come back and say the same thing that you just did. And so when you position the intro in that way where you remove the objection away from them first, they know this person has already acknowledged my time. They understand that I'm busy. They don't sound like a good salesperson, and this probably isn't going to take me very long. And so they're more inclined to stay on the phone with you longer. Now, then we are going to go into a transition into the body in a second. But I know this sounds, you guys are like, this sounds so unusual. It sounds so unorthodox. This is not what we've been taught. But if you transition your intro into lowering your energy, sounding lost, and acknowledging their time before they use it, you will get into more conversations. And this is the part where a lot of people get lost. They get the I'm busy, they get hung up on, and they don't know what to do. Okay. So we don't have time to go into objection handling, but if you guys want, we're just going to give you a little guide there. Just scan it. You guys can get that for free. It's just a booklet on how to handle the common objections that you might be getting right now. So let's go into transition number one. So now we've got past the intro, we're going into the body. So we're going into what we call desire and pain discovery.
Yeah. So really you have two types of leads. Think about when you get an online lead or you meet somebody at an open house or however you get that contact information. You have people that are either lost or very lost. People who are lost, they consciously know they want to buy, right? So that's somebody who like went to Zillow, searched for homes in your neighborhood, or went to realtor.com, clicked on a property and reached out to you somehow. Okay. Then there's those who are very lost and they need to make a change, but no one as a human likes to feel uncomfortable. So we subconsciously bury our pains, our worries, and our motivation because we don't want to deal with it. As humans, we just don't want to deal with our bad or our uncomfortable situations. So they have desire to move, they have a need to move, they have a want to move, but they've buried it in its subconscious. These are the people that if you run a Facebook ad, they clicked on a Facebook ad in the middle of the night and you call them and they don't remember. There is motivation down there, but it's buried subconsciously. So we have to help bring it to surface. Okay. So think about that. You got your very lost. It's subconscious. You got to dig super deep and you're lost people who know they want to move. Okay. So what is the goal of the body of the call? It's to determine if an appointment should even be booked. We don't want you guys to waste your time with people who aren't going to work with you, don't want to work with you, can't work with you, or don't even have the motivation to move. Because who here, drop a 1 in the chat if you've wasted your time with the client before that you thought was going to buy and they never ended up buying. You're not a realtor if that hasn't happened to you.
Definitely. We do a good job of, like I said at the beginning, guys, we volunteer a lot of our time for unqualified people. We need to learn how to qualify people so that if we book an appointment on a Monday for a Saturday morning, you're confident that that person is not taking time away from your family, from the things that you want to do on the weekend because you didn't ask the tough conversations and know how to have the right conversation on Monday. We want to make sure that you guys are showing up to these appointments with qualified people that are worth your time. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we do that?
Most people, this is what we've been taught. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Where do you want to live? Right? These are features, guys. This is the old way to find out about a prospect. You have to remember everything in life, you do not buy features. Okay. Features just help provide solutions to the problems. So what's the new way? What do we want to find out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, is anybody right now, if you are, don't worry, because most agents are, is anybody asking bedrooms, bathrooms, price, location? Like if you take notes and you put them in your CRM, hopefully we're using a CRM, but like, is anybody like, how many beds do you want? How many baths do you want? If you are, just drop me a me or drop me a one in the chat. Because that is very, very, very common. But this is the new way to do it. If you ever see this little superhero, this Maw thing, this has saved our butts more than anything. All right. So I want you to remember this acronym right here, which is MAW. Stop asking what we call BBL, bedrooms, bathrooms, locations. Forget about that. We're talking about MAW. That's motivation, ability, and willingness. This is how we need to structure our questions. It's not about how many bedrooms they want. It's about why they need the bedrooms. What's important to them about the bedrooms is the thing that's going to help them move. So what is their motivation? Why are they moving? What's important to them? Okay. Do they have the ability? Do they even have the means to move? Because guys, I think a lot of people think that we're real estate agents / magicians. Like we're not magicians. We can't just like make money up here. So we need to determine if they even have the means to move, to determine if they're worth an appointment. And the third thing is willingness. So not are they going to use you, but would they even be willing to consider you for the position? Okay, so we need to determine those three things when we're on the call. It's not about bedrooms, bathrooms, locations. It's about motivation, ability, willingness. And I want to give you guys just a little cheat sheet. So you guys should screenshot this or write this down. But this is what we use from an appointment setting framework to determine if we should book an appointment on our schedule. Is this worth our time? If they have 3 of 3 of MAW, so they have motivation, they have ability, they have willingness, you are getting the appointment. You must be asking for the appointment at that point in time. If they have 2 of the 3 of MAW, so they have motivation and they have willingness, but they still need to gain the ability and you feel confident in them gaining it, you should definitely ask for the appointment. Okay. If they only have 1, like I'm highly motivated and I'm definitely going to work with my cousin. I have no motivation. I'm going to work with my cousin, but I got money. Like, I'm probably not going to book an appointment with that person. Okay. So if they've got 2 or 3 out of 3 of MAW, we ask for the appointment. This is how you can clearly identify who's worth your time. If they don't, then that's when we would go and follow up with them. So the old way of asking in the body of the call is bedrooms, bathrooms, locations. Okay. And the new way is motivation, ability, willingness. And that's going to help you be able to be a more strategic advisor and provide true advice.
Guys, I'm going to give you one hack before we move on. Okay. If you find yourself going back to that BBL, ask this one question every time you ask a BBL question. Why is that important to you? This will get you motivation. So if you find yourself going into those bad habits that you've been trained on, how many bedrooms are you looking for? 3? Don't just move on to, okay, how many bathrooms? What we did in the past. Why is it important for you to have 3 bedrooms? Do you have 2 kids? What's going on? Do you work from home? Why is it important for you for those 3 bedrooms, right? Always ask, why is that important to you? Cool.
Okay, so that is how we can identify qualified leads quickly, just by following that little scorecard right there, okay? So once we've been able to ask those questions and we've determined enough of motivation, ability, willingness, there's no more advice. Don't let the advice monster out of the cage. You have enough information to determine if this person's worth an appointment, and then you can plug them into the close. So once we've been able to determine those things and ask the right questions around those, this is when we would transition into what we call the PVP framework. Debbie, we are like probably over where we should be. So we have 2 things. We can either continue or we can go into break. Like, we've dropped a lot on you guys. So what we can do is do a second training where we do the second half of this with you guys in the future and make sure that we go through breakout rooms so that you guys can really implement the intro and the body at this point in time to make sure that you guys are clear and can get results. And then if you guys are interested, we can do the second half with you just to make sure that everybody can leave here today with something tactical.
How are you guys available for next Thursday? Can we do part 2 next Thursday?
Next Thursday, we are actually at a mastermind in Colorado. But
wait, what?
Yeah.
Where in Colorado?
Colorado
Colorado
Springs.
Springs.
Oh, no. Like, you can't come to Colorado Springs without visiting me. That's
You're in
where
Colorado
I
Springs?
live.
All right, we're coming
That's
down. We'll be there on
okay.
Monday.
We'll
All
see you
right,
next
we have
week.
to figure this out. Okay, so um
Yes.
I do think yeah, party. That's right, Ray. I do think that it would be valuable to go into breakout rooms and
Yes.
at
Yep.
least chat about what you're doing.
Okay.
And then I do want to book you because like I love everything that you've talked about. I think it's super valuable. And I think that we will do a part two and have you guys back on the next time you're available. I'm so glad I asked to find out that you're going to be here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, so let's go ahead and have you stop sharing,
Okay.
and we will. We're going to have you give us, first of all, your first breakout room question.
Okay. So for you guys, we want two things in this first round of breakout rooms for you guys to accomplish. How are you currently communicating with your leads and your past clients? We want to understand like what's your like primary prospecting approach? Is it calling? Is it emailing? Just so we can get a better sense of like where you guys are at. And the second thing is, how do you guys prepare for your prospecting? Do you have routines? Do you have checklists that you go through? Is there anything that we can share or collaborate with from a mastermind perspective to help each other get better and make sure that we get better results out of our prospecting?
Excellent. I'm just moving a couple of people around because I don't want you and Ryan in the same room when we
Oh,
do
good.
the breakout rooms. So I'm just making sure that we're good there. Mm, We had a couple of people hop out. So, all right. It looks, all right. It looks like we're good. All right. Um, you guys, we're going to open this breakout room, answer the first question, what are you doing now? And then when we come back, also have your contact information prepared to drop in the chat because I forgot to tell you that.
We'll have a little giveaway for you guys when we
You
come
got to
back
give,
in.
and I understand some of you guys, I'm just looking right now, some of you guys wanted a copy of the slides. We actually just have like a summary cheat sheet for you guys, so you don't need all the slides. We'll just give you the good stuff that you guys want. So we'll give you our contact information. We'll send that after. Cool?
Excellent.
Good?
All right,
All
here
right.
we go.
Awesome.
Opening all the breakout rooms. Karen, can you not get into the breakout room?
but but not necessarily for a call. And I also talked about like one of the things I was so like commission breath and sales oriented on my very first call in my career. I pick up the phone and the client says that they just got out of the hospital. And I go into full sales mode, cringe, right? And he and my sales manager is over my shoulder. He writes on this sticky, rapport. That was my first lesson, rapport. And so I had to quickly backtrack. Oh, how were things from the hospital? I mean, I already blew it and nothing came out of that call. But ever since then, I remembered if anybody says, hey, I'm going through some stuff or I'm busy or whatever, I was like, hey, I totally understand, you got to take care of you, and hey, is it all right if we follow up? And then maybe even on the second call, I don't even talk about loans. But
Something
yeah,
did come out of that call. You learned a valuable lesson.
yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That's true.
All right, Emma, Ryan, your breakout rooms, like anything cool and exciting, light bulbs go off in there?
You know what? I think Ellen shared something really important with us, and we were just talking about how she does prospecting, and she's been in the business for a little while, so the bulk of her business comes from past clients. And she was sharing her strategy for following up, and because it's an aging population at this point in time. She's always just calling from a service perspective to say, is there anything you need? Do you need help with like meal prep? Is there anybody that I can get you in contact with? Because at the end of the day, it's like we need to develop these longer term relationships, but we always need a reason to call. And I really loved her approach about always coming from a service perspective first and continuing to develop the relationship. And the one thing I think that she shared that was really impactful was, especially for her target demographic, the owner of the home isn't always the decision maker. Sometimes it's the kids, or it's a cumulative decision that needs to be made. And so by coming from a place of service, she's also able to build a relationship with the family, and for the family to know that she's there to help them for the long run. And I just thought it was an amazing long-term sales approach. So I appreciate her sharing that.
Excellent. Okay, Ryan, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think like Michelle had or sorry, Liz I think Liz in my session had a good aha moment. You know, she's doing a lot of great prospecting in terms of emails, you know, hard copy mailers, postcards, etc. But she wasn't leveraging those to figure out who was engaging with all of the content she was putting out there. So I just gave her some ideas on how she could figure out who she should actually be picking up the phone and calling and trying to spend time on and time with. I think that's a big one for her that a lot of people could learn from, right? Like, we're sending all these emails, we're sending these flyers and postcards to our past clients and so on and so forth, but we're not actually taking the time to reach out and talk to the people that are engaging with it.
Excellent. All right, we're going to do one more breakout room. I don't know if you noticed, but I shortened the length of the breakout rooms a little bit so we could get a couple in. What is the second question for this breakout room?
Yeah, so what common objections are you currently encountering in your calls that you may need to add into your script to remove from the prospect? And then the second thing is, is anybody willing to share a recent experience where maybe you struggled to convert a lead and what you thought the opportunity was?
All right, making sure. Okay, here we go. Oh, I didn't look to see. Okay, you guys are not in the same room. Here we go. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up by saying thank you to Ryan and Emma. Some very eye-opening conversation this morning, and I'm looking forward to having them back to do part 2 of this training after they're here in my town and I get to squeeze them. So looking forward to giving you guys both a hug, and we will see you all next week. Now, the recording will be up for this probably later today on YouTube and posted in the group. Has everybody downloaded the chat? I'm going to stop the recording because I don't need to learn about us downloading chat.